Okay, we're going to put the recording out on our website like we normally do. Tanya, if you could monitor the chat, I'd appreciate it. I can't see that while I'm sharing my screen. Thanks. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Great. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it on our website when we're completed here. So that's going to be in finance, state software redesign, and then in our HCC training recordings. And then we'll have them put it right below this HCC recording specific topic. So that will be the next one up to be added there. And so we'll go ahead and start with just an overview of FISCWEB. So FISCWEB traditionally was in Classic, and we're bringing that back in USAS again. So to get to that, you would go on the HCC website, hccitc.org, and then you'd go under the finance, the green bar, or the finance, and then state software redesign. You can actually access it with any of these. We're just going to get that bar onto the right side here. And so this is the same place that you would go if you're getting on TeamViewer to connect with either Tanya or I or Sandra. But this one is going to be a direct connect to the FISCWEB. So you'd click on that. You would find your district name under here, and then this FISCWEB right here. I'm going to use Adams County as an example. They're just starting off with creating this. And so we set them up with a separate FISCWEB page. Right now, their page is blank. We haven't started populating these. We're going to be discussing that in the near future. And so if you don't have a FISCWEB page already, we can create that for you. And then we will populate this with, possibly names of departments and the types of reports. Going back to the FISCWEB page again. Go back here and right there. And so we'll use Mount Healthy's as an example. Down here, Mount Healthy. You'd go all the way over to FISCWEB and see their page is already established. So we've started working with them to bring that into being with the FISCWEB for the redesign. So as an example, they have one set up for business manager, and under that they have a budget summary, a BUDSUM report, and their PO detail for their outstanding purchase orders. Also maybe food service, they've got a budget summary, a revenue summary, outstanding purchase orders. And so there's different ones that, that treasurers want to set up. And so we've got even ones for some of the grants here. So that one has an appropriation summary, budget summary, outstanding purchase orders. So what would happen if someone would click on this report, then it would bring up right here, it will bring up like a sign-on. And that's the exact same sign-on, the username and password, which you would use in USAS. So, and you can see there's a link here, and this is like the Mount Healthy abbreviation. There's the USAS. And so that would be like the same link in your header here, in your URL that you would use to get to your USAS. So the person would enter their username and their password, then hit the sign-in button, and then they would get the report that they want. So that's basically how it works. The advantage of this is the users get the reports they want in real-time options. So you could have just, posted invoice for a purchase order or something, and then on your outstanding purchase order report, it would show that as it is right now. So I believe in Classic, it was stored kind of the previous night. And so you would get it as of last night's backup time. This one in Redesign, it does it right now, right at this moment. So, and it does take a little bit for some of these to run. It just depends on your settings that you have. So that's kind of the end product of what it would look like. We're going to go into our demo session and this USAS and our demo to show you how this is set up. So what you would do, the initial part would be to set up the users and or set up the reports. So you can either do a setup for the reports with, you know, exactly what you want to see, whether you want to use an account filter or just limiting it to certain things. That's one way. You either limit the reports or you limit the user. So in this instance, I have a user, and right here, his name's Sam Jones, okay? And I've set up Sam to have a filter on his user here with a football. I also have his role as USAS read-only. So his USAS read-only role will allow him to do anything with requisitions and to view and see all different kinds of reports and things like that. So it's the only thing really, he's just basically a requisitioner and can see reports with that USAS read-only role. So with the filter of the football, we'll say Sam Jones is in the football. So that's what he needs to see. So, and he's enabled and all of that. So he's got a role and he's got a filter. So that limits him to what he is able to see in USAS. And so here, I'll show you the filter that I set up for Sam. Here's his football filter.
About how much sugar.
Well, they usually ask you.
Okay.
No.
Is that a question or is somebody not muted?
And I want to keep it in place state of honor because this is the
It's not
new-
muted and I can't mute them.
Every school has to
Okay.
provide
Right.
minimum products for growth.
Could you mute
Grade
yourself,
6 and
please?
up.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Ridiculous. So you just need a folder and put it in your office. It's not a folder out here.
Well, I want,
Sent?
Could you please mute
first-
yourself?
well, you don't have to do dispenser, but you have to have a method to.
You tell who it is.
Provided. So
Is it
we're sixth
Jenna?
grade, everything is- that's
Is
middle school,
Jenna-
high school.
Yes.
Muted.
We can get
Okay.
dispensers equipment in the bathroom. So
Let's try that. There we go. All right, we've muted Jenna. All right, so getting back to our filter with the football on it. So I've set up this filter for football, and I have the transaction indicator of O2 for expenditures, and I've set up a fund of 300 and a function of 4516. And then we can see these, the access is read, so they can see the reports, and pre-encumber. So they can set requisitions, they can establish the requisitions. So a word on the transaction indicators. So if I had this and say I did a 00, that is a cash. Okay. So if I did 300 and then I did 4516, okay, that is not going to work. What it's going to give you is, since cash only has a fund and an SEC, it would only work if your filters were a cash and an SEC. It won't work for the function. So this is no good like that. Oh, hang on. I think my screen just went blank. Just a second. Let me try and bring this over here. Technical difficulties. Apologize for that. Okay, here we go. Oh, it went out on me again. I think I've got a sensitive screen. All right. I'm trying to get this to work. Sorry. Apologize for this, everybody. All right. Oh, every time I hit it, it's blanking out on me. All right. All right. See if I can get this. Still trying to get it over onto this other screen. All right. It keeps blanking out on me. All right, I'm going to have to just shut this down and bring it back up. Yeah. All right, let's try this again. All right, back on here again. All right, so sorry about that. Getting back on the USAS demo. Okay, so I'm on as the admin, and one way to do it, okay, we were talking about the filters, and I set up the filter for football, and I made sure it was 02 for the transaction indicator, 300 for the fund, and 4516 for the function. I made sure it had read, so they can see the reports, pre-encumber, so they can do requisitions. Okay, so that is set up. The next thing I would do is, so you can either set up your reports or you can set up your users. If you set up your users, then you can do basic reports. So your FISCWEB could be pretty much a couple of reports. You could have your budget summary, you could have your outstanding purchase orders, you could have a fin debt for the fiscal year, maybe a fin debt for the current period. And so the users would click on each of those reports, and you'd have minimal items on this page, and it would, when the person puts in their username and password, it would automatically filter to only what they are permitted to see. So something you want to be careful with if you're doing it this way is if it's done by the filter on the username, then you want to be very careful about how you're filtering that person. Some districts do it like what I did here with the filtering with a football filter. Some filter by the individual user. Some users have different items that which they are allowed to see. One thing that we want to make sure of with a filter is those that are limited or need to be limited to salaries and benefits, that those are set up properly. So please work closely with us for this, because we only want users seeing what they are allowed to see. So if you just have a few basic reports and maybe you did not put in a filter for your user, so if Mr. Jones here, he did not have a filter, we didn't put that in there, then he would be able to see everything. So you want to make sure that your users are filtered. So if they are filtered, they can just do those basic reports. The other way of setting this up is by creating specific reports. So we have one here. I have already done a budget summary. This is the stock budget summary. And so for the default, you know, you go through and you have your basic report, you know, with, you know, nothing in it. It's wide open. It sees everything. You can do, oh, we love these save and recall reports. I did one here for the football. I put in the filter name, and I want to exclude zero amount. So I put true there, and then I entered the football, and then I saved this. So if we wanted to do, and also back here I want to show you, I actually updated the name of the report to add football. So when it's generated, you can tell what it is by this, you know, this is, okay, this is just the budget sum for football, and you can tell easily what it is. So to make these FISCWEB setups, there is a link here. And so if you click on this, you can see what it's showing. It's showing your website, and it's a report, and it's a download. It's a report. It's telling you the exact report it's doing. And so you can see it's doing a budget summary. Football would be this save and recall name, and I'm logging in as admin. So what you can do, what we do, is we copy this. We go to our website. I'm going to go to a different website, or a different one here. We're just going to go to Health Healthy as our example. Okay. And so we set up these names on here. And so this, we would set this as a link, and the link would be that report link, which I demonstrated. So we can say, if you click on this, it will take you to run that report. And that's kind of what is doing the process behind the scenes. This is how it works. So we link these words to the link of the report. It won't let you log in without putting in the username and the password. The user will always know, I mean, that they should only know their username, their password, which is filtered for that report, and then it would bring up that report. So, for example, there's that link. You can also send that link to a user. This is another way to do it. You can send that link to a user. They can put it up in their URL, and then they can bookmark it. So they can say, bookmark this tab if it's that certain link, and then they can save that as a bookmark. So that's another way to do it. So what we've done is we've got this report for football that has a filter on it, and you're only seeing the zero counts. So it's the equivalent of doing this, and it would do that process automatically, so that when the user sees that, remember our filters were 345.16. So here's the budget summary. We did a custom title so that you can easily see that it's football without reading all the account codes and all that. And we know that is filtered. So you could, that is a case where we have filtered the report using a save and recall. I can also log in as Mr. Jones, so that's going to be the same report. If I log out here and I log in as Mr. Jones, okay, so you can see right here I'm logged in as Mr. Jones right there. And I go in and I just run this report as is. I'm just going to say I want the default. There's nothing there. It is automatically going to run with his filters. So here that is. Okay, so you can see here's his filters. Now we didn't put an all amount 0 on there, so it's got a few extra things, but you can see like they're appropriated 41,700, and then let's see if I can do this on here again, 41,700. There are a few extra 0 lines on his because it didn't have the omission of the 0 lines. But you can see that this report with the save and recall filter on it are the exact same as the wide open report generated with the filter on the user. Okay, so the benefit of doing it with the FISCWEB is they're logging into Redesign to see the report, but they're not seeing everything in Redesign. So if someone's going about their daily job and they're like, oh, I want to see what, you know, what I've got here on my expenditures, you know, I can go right in here and then they can just, you know, we'll just say, I don't think there's an athletic setup for this, but say they just need to see, you know, say one of these was their FinDebt, they could click right in there. It would pop up, you know, it would, that one's not working. It would just pop up there. I believe like one of these is working. So, or here, they put in their username, password, then hit the sign in, and the report would just pop right up. So, or if we're linked to the one with the account filter, then this would pop right up. They're the same report. Titles are a little different. The other one didn't have the zeros omitted. One is done by, it's filtered by the account filter. This report is filtered by the filter on the employee. So it's easy to go in there and, you know, not even logging into the system and not navigating through the system to get a report. It helps them get their information easier. It's also a lot easier on the treasurer's staff that people don't keep calling in and saying, hey, I need this report. I need this report. What have I spent for the month of August? What have I got to go? You know, what do I have to spend for the year? They can find that out for themselves. It's self-service. It's a quick training. I can do a recording just like this. I could come to the district if needed with a group of people and work with training you on that. Our idea is that we just want to give you back more time so that you're not having to do things which take you away from doing your other parts of your job. So do we have any questions on this?
Rhonda, I have a question.
Sure.
So you were showing two different ways to create the reports. But if I'm going to set up a user in USAS, I'm going to want to put a filter on there because even though I'm saying go to FISCWEB and then you only get, this report, they technically could still log into USAS. So really, that would be the ideal way around this, would be to give them a filter, and then you're just setting up, okay, here's the budget summary, and you click this login, and then the filter's tied to that person, right? That seems to make more sense to me, right?
Right, just to keep the filter on the user rather than on the report. Where that's different is maybe you have your USAS managers that are wide open. Usually those are your treasurer, your assistant treasurer, that staff, and they're usually the more educated as far as the USAS system.
Yeah, and they're running their own
that's where
reports,
those would be
probably.
easier. Yeah, but they can usually run their own reports. Y'all can.
Yeah.
You're smart, or you put in
I'm
a ticket
thinking,
for us.
Secretaries, principals, athletic directors, like you don't want them having access to everything within USAS. They'll be out there running reports and.
Right. So that's
Okay.
that's great. That's a way that you could do it, the way like we have Adams County here with a blank page. So instead of, it's another way of setting it up. So you could just have budget summary, outstanding purchase order, your FINDET for the fiscal period, and your FINDET for the fiscal year. And so you have just a few basic reports. They could just, your user could click on those. It's an uncluttered page, easier to learn, and then it would apply the filter as they're doing that login to the system. So,
right. So it's just a matter of setting up the filters, which generally speaking, you set up one time and you can apply it to every person in the future that holds that position.
Right. And the only caveat to that is if you don't have a user that doesn't have a filter on it, then, buyer beware, it's like they're going to see everything. They're going to see everything. So you want to double check that when you set up your users. So with this one, these have the filters on the reports. I don't know if we have anybody that just has your basic reports, and then and they might have the filter on the report and on the user, so kind of a double whammy there. So as I said, like on this one, this was the one that just had the filter on the user. And so for this, you're seeing a bunch of zeros, but we could set up a budget summary link that has, the true on that report.
Right.
We could just say, this is for FISCWEB. That's another option, is you can just say, this is the FISCWEB report. And then you just go over and make this true. And then you'd save that. And then if Mr. Jones goes in and he just hits that budget summary, then that's going to take away all those, the zero line items. And he would get a report more like this one, but obviously the title wasn't customized. That's the other option, is if you're going to break it up like these. So I could say budget summary report business manager, budget summary report food service. So when you get that report, it, distinctly notes what it's for.
Okay, thanks. That answers my question.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on this? We've kind of set up a couple districts. We haven't really gone totally live with it. As you can see, that Mount Healthy was one, Indian Hills another. So we've done this for a couple of districts. So, you know, we're anxious with this new school year. This would be a great tool, you know, and it's a good time to educate your staff and just say, hey, we're doing it like this. A lot of people who've been staffed through the years might remember how they did it in Classic, and they might say, hey, we're glad it's back, you know. So it's an easy thing to set up, especially if you're doing it the way that Tanya suggested with the, you know, going through the one more like this one that we haven't set up quite yet. And it just says budget summary, financial detail for the period, financial detail for the year, outstanding purchase orders. Very easy to set up, just a couple of lines. They just, you know, click on the one that they want, enter their username and password, and boom, they get the report and it just pops right up. Well, you know how it is now. You have to click on the top right corner and then choose your report, and then it pops up. So it's a great tool. We think it's just a really wonderful tool. I also have a guide for this that we can circulate with kind of step-by-step instructions, where you go to the HCC website, you select Redesign, you click on FISCWEB, and then, you know, we've got the little arrows pointing, this is where you go here, Redesign, you go on the FISCWEB. So you've clicked on the FISCWEB, you select your district, wherever that would be, down here, and then you click on which report you want. You sign in with your username and password, and then your report will be momentarily generated with real-time information. So that's the user guide. It's pretty easy to comprehend, we think. If you have any other suggestions, please let us know. And once again, the user will only be able to see the data for the accounts which is allowed by their username filter. So that's the advantage of doing it that way. It's just you have to remember to double check those filters, that they have those before giving them that access. All right, so we can post this on our webpage as well. So, and we'll be very happy to help you set these up. Sometimes it's, you know, we have to work with those filters a lot, and we can definitely help you with that. So any other questions, any other thoughts, questions, comments, thoughts, ideas? Does anyone remember the Classic setup that we had? Did you like that? And are you looking forward to this coming about in Redesign to help you get more time? All right. Well, if there's no other thought, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And we're looking forward to some districts putting in some tickets and getting this established. We're really excited about this, about helping you out going forward and possibly giving you some extra time back in the office. Let us know what we can help you with, and we're always at your service. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.